So today, 21st, last week, 14, we got a demo from Sarah about, what's the demo about the PO extractor plugins integration. I believe that was the one. Sub demo was extracting translations. Extractive localization strings from JS files. So Dan talked about them.
And I will actually talk about that today as well.
Okay. And today, 1st, 2025, demos. Topics. End. Status orchard 1. We have some things merged in everything. In everything we have in one tenant, adding warning when a projection query has an empty group. We have updating MailKit and other NuGet packages. We then have merging all these to the dev branch. So open deck, got that whole thing. Crazy. Oops. Open deck. Orchard core status. Uh, 14. Here. Careful, we have two branches active here. So in the main branch, we have remove deprecated keypress usage. Or JavaScript updates of keypress. Not good. Key down. Good. Keypress, key down. Okay, so some JavaScript updates. Fix all route data. Liquid attribute helper. What is that? Oh, okay. Liquid helper. We updated it recently when we refactored. Nope, not this one. This one. Anchor tag. All route data. Oh, so yeah, I remember we mentioned some feedback about the PR. Okay, forwarding all the properties of a thing if it's a dictionary. But in fluid terms, it's a high fluid indexable because it could be more than just a dictionary. Okay. I don't remember how this high anchor tag works. Like an extensibility point that we have for that.
For that one, it was just a the anchor tag has a attribute, that one attribute, I forget what it's called, all data. It was broken, so I just fixed it.
Yeah, I wonder what is this thing, how it works. Oh, tag, okay. Tag doesn't mean HTML tag, it means fluid, well, liquid tag. Okay. So when we have an A tag or an Encode tag, then we can have these properties on it. Okay. And based on the one that are provided, we will render different things. Well, then this one will forward using the tag builder to build the correct Encode HTML tag based on the, okay, so now I remember. This is a fluid extensibility point. Okay, so set current Vuejs dependencies to 2 from Mike. We saw that during triage. So here, every time a view file was used, in the HTML view, we would say depends on Vuejs. Okay, and this is using resource management, the object resource management, which will say by default, if you depend on something, we'll get the latest version of this thing. And in our case, we register Vuejs v1, v2, and in this case, it will say, let's use v2. Okay? But now if you register Vuejs 3, then it will now point to Vuejs 3, which won't work with this view here that we inject, this file. So Mike updated every usage of Vuejs to say, no, just pin the version to 2, such that if someone includes Vuejs 3, this one here will still use Vuejs 2, which means that we could have some of these use Vuejs 3 without breaking the ones that still want to use 2. And the migration to Vuejs 3 can be done in steps. And the fact that Chestnut is here, I think I saw him, is a good thing because he's listening. And then another one. Oh, and this was backported. These 2 branch. Then under these 2 branch, we have fixed file access to session from GraphQL fields. Fixed file access to session is the thing that George did last week to fix the concurrent calls to some field resolution. Now it's backported to 1 and it's fixing more issues than just one. Apparently, George is finding people complaining.
No, this was someone else.
Something else?
No, some other guy. I don't remember.
Still, good thing. So
a good thing, yeah.
Then Mike support depend on when using script and style inline. Depend on, so reminder, refresher. When we have script tag helpers, we can say at for sure to say where we want the script to be injected. Okay. We have a depend on attribute to say that when you inject this one, you also need to inject another one, which might also have dependencies. So this is something special here. But here we have some change. This allows additions to the pre-registered script dependencies if training is not. So if we have a depends on in a script tag helper, set dependencies. So we split by separator and we say remove the empty entries. And now we say trim entries and remove empty entries. Okay, so we say if there are spaces between the separator chars, which are line space, then we will remove spaces. It's good. And what do we have also, which I assume is the core of the date here? If we have a depends on, and when we are case where it's written this way, like there is no name, so an inline script, okay. Inline script, custom script content inline script. So if we have that, and it depends on, taking all the dependencies, extracting the versions. There is a trick here. I mentioned that already. If you listen to it, but you forgot about it, which is you see here. Well, not well this one, but the rest here. This one you can say comma 2 to say if there are multiple columns, just split the first one, such that you are sure to have 1 or 2 values in the array, instead of having 1, 2, or 3, or 4, or whatever. So here, the first part is the resource name. And then if there is a version, okay, so it's applying the depends on this way. The same thing for the styles, for the inline styles. Same thing here. Yeah, makes sense. Do we have some doc about? I think we have some doc about the type we can put. And this one doesn't have the separator. Doesn't make sense, or is it? That's weird.
About to be the separator?
We have a collection here. It's not used. It's used there, but it's not used everywhere. Depends on split. Depends on split. Oh, this is culture here. Sorry. So this one is culture. I think, yeah, this one. Yeah, okay. So this should be replaced by. It was not correct before. I understand. But now we see this. We have that thing to do. I assume it should be consistent everywhere. We also. Unless it's a case where we count the dependents and attributes, so the same value should be.
Yeah, I agree. It should be the same, but I just didn't want to change it.
Yeah, that's okay. Okay, cool. So we understand the correctly, right? Because it was not okay. Inline script and style tags were not supporting the dependent, which is weird, right? But where was it done before? And why is the code not like this? Like that. Settings, set dependencies, and just split by the separators. But it's not settings because it's not an existing resource. It's something that is inline and is managed differently, probably. So we don't have a settings here. Okay. A resource setting. So there is no resource settings here. Okay. It's just inline. So it has to be, you are like invoking the resource manager directly in that case. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Fix GraphQL schema creation when using indexed fields. Another GraphQL fix. So this is like using same object, I believe. No, this is a different thing. Create graph type. This is a graph type passed directly.
This fixes an error introduced while updating to GraphQL 8.
Okay, less code, better code. It's like magic.
Right.
And content field providers. Content field providers.
It's moving something from the initialize method to the constructor.
Okay. So where is the content field provider coming from? Is it a GraphQL thing or content definition?
This is something to initialize the GraphQL schema for content fields.
But this interface, where is it coming from?
It's an orchard thing. It's coming from DI. This type is created manually.
Yeah, but is it something from Orchard Content Management or from GraphQL?
Yeah, it's from Orchard. It's creating the fields for GraphQL from the field definition.
And it has more
Content
fields
types.
than the. Oh, well, this is the new code. Okay, so
It creates some GraphQL type.
I see. Okay, I see. Okay, so okay, I didn't get. I think it was replacing that by that. No, it's just.
No, it's
Instead
just
of reloading
moving
there,
the
it's reloading
same
the
from
constructor.
the
Okay.
initialize method to the constructor. And therefore you don't need to create the actual types because GraphQL can do it
Okay.
on its own.
Okay. Thank you. Fixed invalid cast exception. Entry Surkov. Checking the two possible types. Encode analytics IDs in script. Oh, that's new. That's new. And also note back there, someone reported an issue. And I pinged James, and I wanted James to understand the change. I'm not sure James understood the change. I haven't read the updated PR, but because this code is changing what James is working on the PR. So this is that an encoding issue. So if you look at the code before in red, you see it was returning some HTML string, which means the thing won't be encoded. It's like, oh, it's pre-encoded. You don't need to encode it. Okay, I'm giving you HTML, don't encode that. But here it's doing settings that pixel ID and replacing the single quotes by and removing the single quotes because it's inside a string in JavaScript. So it's saying, okay, let's remove the quote. This way we can't break the string. Okay, this is just for Facebook, but if you look at the Google one, it was saying just this is the script to inject for the Google Tag Manager, and eventually it would say, and here inject in this JavaScript the tracking ID as is. which means if you set some malicious string in JavaScript that will break it in the tracking ID, which you can, then you could get remote code basic execution. Well, not remote code execution, but what's the thing here? You can inject some code. And in the JavaScript, okay, and steal cookies and whatever. So the nice, well, what's make it not so bad is that to be able to change this value, you need to have access to the admin side and to have the permission to change the tracking ID for the Google Analytics. So probably if you can do that already today, you are an admin. But there is a permission. So it's not the admin permission, it's the manage tracking IDs permission. So this is not innocuous, it is a bad bug. So the solution is just to say, instead of injecting some strings from user input in a JavaScript, we need to encode it. So here we resolve the JS encoder, the JavaScript encoder, and also the URL encoder, because in this one it's used in a URL and in script. So in this case here in the script. So this is one change to do. The second change I did actually is when I saw that, and it will interest James if you understand that part of the change. When I saw that is, if I go, can I go in a diff mode here? Yeah. So the before was, what's the before? Here, script cache. Okay, it says, okay, script cache equals new HTML string. And I found it interesting because it's creating an object which is cached to the scope of this instance, which it's a filter. I don't know if it's a singleton or if it's it can't be a singleton. It has to be scoped. And at the same time, yeah, no, it can be a singleton. So it could be a singleton, in which case the script cache here would be created just once in memory. And then we just say return this HTML string directly here. So this is interesting, but but issue is that we have a value here, okay, which is injected. So we will need to change the value of the cache every time the value changes. And I don't think it's the case here. That if you change the tracking ID, then this cache will be invalidated. Or maybe this is just scoped and then the cache is almost meaningless in this case. So what I did instead is I split this HTML string into 3 HTML strings. I called preamble, middle, and end. The preamble, we'll go back to the preamble contains the script before the custom value. It stops right before the URL here. I'm scared that there is a big issue in what I did. No, there isn't. Okay, I will use this one as an example. Preamble and end. So before the ID here, this is the same thing. Okay, so inside a string as an argument, and the end is after the value, the string, the end of the string in the argument. And what is returned is a content builder that contains the preamble, encoded value, and the end. This way, this here can be static read-only, reused everywhere all the time. It's just a static string that never changes. Same thing for this part. It's in memory, static string for all the tenants, everything, a single instance. And what we just do is create an object which just changes state. It's a new array with the preamble, the encoded value, and then the end. So the end result is a concatenation of these 3 elements. Okay. And I did the same thing with this one, but this one has 2 times the value injected. So there are 3 things to inject. So first, then the value, then the middle, then the value, then the end. And the first value is URL encoded, and the second value is JavaScript encoded. So that's a trick. And it has been backported to 2.1, and then might shipped 2.1.4. Okay. Then on main branch on updated .NET versions. Everything to 9.01, and apparently, from what I've read on social media and what I see here, is because of, well, maybe not the case. Do you know if all the runtime assemblies have been updated to 9.01? Here I only see, there are two strategies in .NET. When we update the package, when you do a service release, like 9.01, in the ASP.NET packages, everything is updated to 9.01, even if there was no change on the package. Okay, maybe like this one didn't get any change at all, but because there is a new release of everything, of most of the thing, then everything is bumped such that they all have the same version. And we don't have to check, or maybe Facebook is 9.00 and Google is 9.01 and so on, okay? But for the runtime packages, it's not the case. They just publish the packages that have an update, like this one, which is part of the runtime repository. So this one, I know it had some changes, so for sure it is a 9.01. But I wonder if they still follow this logic to only update the version numbers for the packages that have been touched, whereas ASP.NET is always updating everything. Like this one is in the ASP.NET repository and got an update, but probably didn't get anything changed. I'm not sure. I don't think so. And this one is yet another repository, which has a different version management, 9.10. This one is in the .NET extensions. So not all extensions are in the same repository. This one is in .NET extensions, this one is in ASP.NET, and this one is in the runtime repository. And they have different version management structure. Next change, move display types to constants. Okay. So all the strings into a constant. Display was purged, which is updating XUnit and reacting to the test warnings from the UX unit. XUnit, they shipped a breaking change and they prefer to create a new package called v3 version 1 instead of creating a version 3. I don't remember the logic. Because of compatibilities, probably I don't know. But this is more than a breaking change. It's changing also the list of packages you need. So I think so they have a new package. Actually v3 v1. That system allows by default merge this morning. So I believe that instead of having the things in a recipe, now it's created by migration order type, like this one, administrator. Okay, administrator, dedicated, anonymous, so they are not part of the recipe. They are part of the migration, system roles migration, the roles module, plus other changes. Worried. Wasn't there a reason that it was written in names only?
We only needed names at that time. And now, because we want to create those system roles, like using a migration, he'll need the description too. So now, instead of just storing the name, we have the actual role object for the systems. And then from there, we could return the name if we want to. This is the old class, the one we're removing. Okay.
But the fact that we were returning a frozen set is, I think, makes me feel bad. Feels weird. Why were we returning a frozen set as part of the interface? That doesn't seem correct. And it's not even cached. But that's weird. Because that should be so no, but okay, it's obsolete, so I will forget about it. Now if I go there, I open. Okay, that's good. Internally, it's a frozen dictionary. Default system role provider. But why is it a system? Why is it a frozen dictionary? Default system role provider. Where is it registered? Here?
It's a singleton.
A singleton. Okay, it's a system role, it's a singleton. Where is the default system role? It's a singleton. Okay, then on started. On the constructor. Okay, it's a singleton. Thank you. So that's the old one. It's a singleton. And it's used, so the description here is used for what? For when?
Because now we have a migration that would create those system roles if they don't already exist. And so we need that description so we can have it part of the, part of the UI, like the default settings.
And before it was not localized.
It was not correct.
So does the store use a localized version, or it's just stores a string?
It stores a string.
And it's just here we decided that now it will be localized when created. And the string will be localized with the localization that happened on the setup. Not perfect, but it's better, I assume, because in this case, let's assume that one is towards the orchard, then it will be in French in database. Okay. And it can be changed because just a property of the role. Okay. Just to confirm, because it's a singleton, it will be translated once when registered or when the first time it will be resolved. So it will take whatever culture is used at the time of the first resolution. And just to be clear about what's happening here. And then put in database. Okay. So the next time you go to the site, even if you say, no, my language is Spanish, no, the description will be in French. Which I think is wrong. Probably this is something that should be kept a string, not a localized string. And then when dynamic data localization is in, then it will say, by the way, role descriptions can be translated now because they can be dynamically changed. So they can be dynamically translated also, and not statically. So I think this should be a string because it's a thing I can change and it's not content item. So this should be a string and not a localized string. It will only be localized when we have dynamic data utilization.
I actually requested that this change to localize because I thought it'll be just better.
It looks better. That's why I'm saying it's like it's not perfect because it's not just English. You could say when I set up and use a French culture, then it's localized to French. Today you can't, and you can still change the value to something else if you want, but it has been translated and it's marked as something that can be translated statically, okay, like static strings. But it's not a static string, it's a dynamic string. It's something that we can change in the UI afterwards. So then it's completely out of sync with the localizations that you could provide and change if you change a current culture. So I think it's wrong this way. The same way if you create a new content type definition and you call it article, and you can't translate article to article or whatever for Spanish because that's a dynamic string, something we can change. Okay, the display name of a type. And the solution we have is to merge the PR that supports dynamic string localization. And how we will do that is we say, we know we have content type display names that are dynamic strings. And we create a provider for these strings that says, that lists all the entries that can be translated. And then we have a UI to do like crowding, but in order to say all this content here, they are dynamic and you can provide a translation. We can't get it from a file because they are not static. They can be anything. They can be changed at any moment. So this is the same kind of things. We have a default value, but this is just a default value. This can change later on. So we can't statically translate it like this. Okay. Unless we say there is no way to change this value later in the UI. But I think we have in the UI a way to change this value. Pretty sure, because we can create a role dynamically, so we have a way, so we can't use that. It would have been less bad if there was a dot to string after, and it was a string here. Or is it a string here? It's a string here, right?
Yeah, it's a string.
So this is not critical in this case because it's a one-time translation. And then even if we had dynamic data localization, then the string to translate would be, well, that would be still bad because I don't know, the original string to translate would be the whatever language was used on setup. So I don't know. That might be what how to say? Either good, neither bad. What's to it? Yeah. So yeah, maybe we should keep it this way. But it will not be wrong to remove it. Dynamic localization will still work even if it's translated. It might be confusing because it's not the string we have here. Okay. But whatever the change was to remove it from the recipe, so now it's done. People don't have to create that in their recipes anymore. It will be handled by the module, which is good. Done. Okay. Bring back the topics. Jasmine entered the room late. Jasmine, you have a topic.
You guys want to talk about the new asset build tool, maybe?
Okay, after Zoltan, because you were late.
Okay.
I think Zoltan is gonna want the recording off.
That's right. So yeah.
That's what I see. I remember you said going to this. Okay, so that's now. But you still want time. Do you know how much time? Sometime? Or does it have to be after the meeting?
I think it can be like 5 minutes. Not much. I just want to give an update. But why I want to go off the record because I want to show the list of designers who applied.
Okay. Okay. Jasmine first then. Whatever we call. Jasmine, do you want it to trigger the PR or do you want it to do a demo?
Maybe we could just show where I'm at right now and just share my screen and displaying what it does.
Please.
Yeah.
I call it a demo then.
Yeah. Let's see here. Not showing these. So here it is. I worked on this last night and I've migrated a lot of modules. So I'm just going to show one of the modules so that we get
you can use the full screen and also increase the font, please. Thank you.
I think this one too.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so I'll just go to the archrecord.workflow module because this one was a good example of how to migrate everything, and it was already TypeScript that Sipke had written for this module. And basically what I did is I created a new assets2.json. I know that we talked that we should probably just rename these two assets.jsons after I migrated everything. So I'll just show for now an example of that. Basically, you can use sass min to minify a CSS file that is already there. Sass will transpile as CSS files, and you can see here the styles folder will create a CSS and a min file too. So by default, it will create the minified version and also the CSS file, just like we had before. Min will take just the CSS file and minify that CSS file, also copy the original file into that folder, as we can see here. So for that, I had all the utilities with the new asset build tool to be able to repro what we had. Here we have for scripts JSplum. Created a map file here, but we shouldn't push these to prod, so I'm currently removing them. It's only for developers, and it should be only available when you're developing things locally. Never push, well, you can push these to prod, but it will share all the source code of your file, and here is JSplum, so it's something that is really common. You can get JSplum from a CDN and see the source code, so there's no issue there. And for the TypeScript itself, if we see what it was before, let's just check here. I'll probably, not sure if it's a good idea clicking here, but a lot of files. So we had this assets.json file before. Here. And basically what we were doing is merging files together. And this is because we were compiling this as a common JS file output. It's creating a common JS file here from all of these files. But the new way of doing this is simply to change these files. See here. So basically we have two assets here. We have the editor and we have the viewer. The editor is the thing that we see in the admin UI when you modify your workflow. And the way that it was working is that was not importing anything because we were doing CommonJS, so we had a reference there for resolving types that were used in that file. And instead, with ECMAScript, you do imports of these files, and they're going to be compiled as part of the resulting file. So here in my assets.json, the only thing I'm doing is workflow editor. I pick up this editor here that now has all these imports, and then it will compile itself, adding all of these dependencies. So we could have, for example, if we had a common type or dependency or something that we would want to reuse everywhere in Orchard Core, we could import it there. And this is why I created front-end folder here with things like utilities. Here it's a component. It's basically creating a password string component in the page, and it's writing that component in the page. So basically it will create a progress bar here, and it's creating a div. So if we wanted to use this inside our file here, we could have done simply import and when we get back here, you can see in the package.json file that we have a workspace, which is now our Orchard Core front end, and we can import from Orchard Core front end, and we have all everything that is inside that folder here would be resolvable. Normally, for example, here, that file does an export default. So it export by default something, so you don't need to specify what you want to import. So you do import as password string. And then inside your component, you would do something like, and it will work. I mean, we're just doing something stupid here, but yeah, just to see that it works. That find module, well, that should work. I just need to do a yarn, and it will import back that workspace. So workspaces are now set here in the root package.json. It resolves workspaces in these folders, which are globs patterns. Normally, we shouldn't have package.json standing in the root of a module because it's going to be compiled as part of that DLL there. When you compile it, if you open up that with something to check what is in the DLL, you will see that right now we have packages.json and package.log.json. This is why I moved them there in the assets folder because it won't be added in those compiled DLL. And this is why I added a glob to check for assets for the teams and module folder. I may remove this one, but I still have some of the module which requires this. For example, we have the liquid folder here, which no, it's not the liquid one, it's the GraphQL one. The GraphQL folder has package.json that uses this folder here, uses Webpack. So I need to migrate this to be using our new asset build tool. That's one of the examples that I've not been able to migrate yet. And also, if I look at Orchard.resources, have these here with Vuejs, which haven't been able to generate RTL with it. It fails when I'm trying to do this, and also everything related with Vuejs here, where we merge files together again. There's nothing related with TypeScript that I found yet for using a package to migrate it to assets to the JSON. Something that would be ECMAScript instead of CommonJS would be great. Not found any yet. Also, we have the Monaco editor, which, to be honest, I'm not even sure how it's been integrated. I will need to ask JP because he's the one that did this module. So I'll check with him if he has time. But the way that we merged files together here for Monaco editor, there's probably an easier way. But at the same, we have customization that I don't want to break, so I kept the assets.json file for now that uses gulp to create these assets. I don't want to break what we have already, so maybe that's a lot of work to do here. I'm just going to push it for later. So for the build tool itself, let's get an example here. just going to remove the code that I did there, and I'll try to compile something and show examples. So we have, let's try with this one because we have parcel here. So we can watch.
What is the parcel? What does the parcel command do?
Parcel is
because it can minify also. It can do many things, and minify is not parcel. So.
Yeah, it's part of parcel because parcel is parcel.js. It's a zero configuration build tool for the web. It's kind of like Vite here. Vite is using in the background. Trying to remember the name. Let's see, it's a wrap around another build tool like Parcel. I'll have the details when I remember it on the pull request. But we have here.
So what is Parcel? How is Parcel different than min? The action in your configuration file. There is a Parcel action and there is a min action. Why are there two actions?
So optimized the build tool to use different dependencies, I would say. So for min.js, for example, it will use post CSS and post CSS RTL, and also Lightning CSS, which is the main tool that I use here for compiling CSS, and it's really quick. Extremely fast CSS parser, transformer, bundler, and minifier.
So it's doing that better than Parcel.
Can you repeat that? I'm not sure
what
what
it's doing is better than Parcel for CSS.
No, Parcel is using also Lightning CSS in the background.
Why not use? So then, why is there a min action and a Parcel?
Yeah, action? Because okay. The difference here is that when you want to use a min action, it's because you have just a CSS file and you want to minify that file. Parcel will do the same if you just provided a CSS file. But normally what you do with Parcel is that you will build an application just like we do here with the workflow application. And I could want to, for example, here, my editor, I could want to import a CSS file there, and Parcel will know that you're importing a CSS file in that file, and it will generate a CSS and a minified CSS file.
So wherever there is the min action in your assets to JSON, you could also have placed Parcel action.
I would not say so. I haven't tried, but there's a reason why I created this, and it was mainly because we have CSS files.
So why isn't it
and they need to only be minified.
Why isn't it called build instead? And then under the hood, it's using Parcel. Or TypeScript, or call it TypeScript, action TypeScript. And this way, if tomorrow we want to change from Parcel to something else, TypeScript will still work. The same way you use min to minify, and tomorrow it could not use Parcel, it could use Lightning CSS directly or something else.
I need to check. There's a detail why I did this here. But using Parcel normally would be to create ECMAScript modules, and this is why I simplified it to use min here. If you use parse, I'll try it tonight. That's a good question, Sebastian. I'll try.
It's just a string, right? It is whatever we want. If we want to call it foobar, we call it foobar, and then. So I'm just saying, why is it called Parcel, which is an implementation detail in this case? The same thing as min uses Parcel/Lightning CSS as an implementation detail.
Yeah. Basically, I'll look at. Well, I'll check later. But if I look at the Parcel.mgs file, it really does something It's all configurations. It's configuration around parcel and things like that.
Something that we can't change from the assets file. So that's the implementation detail. So that should not be exposed in the assets file.
Yeah.
If the goal is to compile a TypeScript file, then call the action TypeScript or compile TypeScript. The same way it's called sass or min or copy or move or whatever. It's just the action you want to apply. Parcel is not an action.
There. Yeah, the thing is that I wanted to make this extensible so that if we want to have a file that is used for configuring action for Vite, for example, or for Webpack, then we can just do.
If the action is ready.
Webpack. Webpack could have Webpack here. That's the idea around this.
Okay. That's very true. If you say no, this action is on purpose, just invoke parcel and do whatever you need with this input file. Sure. But if the action is supposed to be generic and called compile or TypeScript, TS.
Could be TypeScript and then bundler or something like bundler could be.
You could have both. You could have TypeScript and parcel, which invoke the same thing. It's just that when you invoke TypeScript, it will also invoke parcel. But tomorrow you might change it to something else, and this way you won't have to change. Yeah.
Well, the idea is that I wanted to make this not really opinionated on which tool that we use, but we use to have parcel already. Yeah, I am because I'm using parcel. But
change the action name then if you don't want to be open.
Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, good comment there. Also, yeah, what I wanted to show is, for example, I'll just remove these comments here. If we have something that uses parcel, we can watch it by doing watch and the name here. So if I'm making changes to that file here, workflow editor, and probably also everything that this file uses, I'm making changes, saving, then it watches. And if I'm checking for activity picker here, if I'm making changes to that file, same thing. So watch, it works really well with parcel. Right now, it's the only thing that watches, I think, and I need to add it to also the sass instruction, I would say. sass one and the min one, but I'll check I'll check what I can do with parcel if we can make it more intelligent and use the proper ones just by doing TypeScript or something like that. Even their sass is could use parcel, but I wanted to have something that is not opinionated on parcel. And using sass here, we'll use another tool that is sass directly, which is Dart sass, basically.
Victoria, just ping me. You have 5 seconds left.
Okay, 5 seconds. So that's it.
Those who were at the conference will understand.
So,
Zoltan has to go to bed. It's late for him.
Yeah. Maybe one last thing here. There's a differentiation between producing CommonJS or ECMAScript module, and it's basically when you do this here type module. So basically, it instructs parcel or Vite to create an ECMAScript module. And you can see here that just to be backward compatible of what we had, I'm just using Parcel to create a common JS create the common JS script here when it's compiling. So yeah, I'll need to add a lot of documentation, but these things are documented on the Parcel website. And yeah, that's it. More than 5 seconds.
Thank you.
Yeah, and now we'll quickly go over some updates for the admin area renewal. But as mentioned, I would go off the record for that.
Okay. I was going to remind you to take off the
Thanks,
recording.
everyone. See you next week.